BCS, the Chartered Institute for IT. My name is Brian Runciman. I'm Head of Content and Insight at BCS. We've got a different webinar today. We're going to move away from our normal conversations about Brexit and IR35, which we've been doing quite a lot of recently. And we're going to have a look at the digital arts. Now, for the last 4 years, and this will be our 5th year, BCS have sponsored a prize for the Lumen Arts competition. For the last 4 years, it's been the AI in Art Prize. We're moving that on this year. It's going to change slightly because actually that's really been taken up. So many digital artists now using AI and machine learning. There's some fascinating things out there. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to see some of that. And we're going to invite in a moment Madeleine to just talk to us about that. She's going to give us a guided tour of some of the exhibits. So you're going to see some really interesting stuff. So you're welcome to put questions in if you would like to as we go along. I'm sure you all know at this stage how to use the Q&A in Zoom. Please feel free to do so. But we'd like to thank Madeleine for giving us her time today. And I'm going to hand over now to Madeleine. I'm going to turn my camera off so that we can use Madeleine. I think you're going to have to unmute yourself there, Madeleine, if you would. Thank you very much. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to say a big thank you to the BCS Chartered Institute for IT for not only hosting this event, but for also sponsoring one of our Lumen Prize awards. A big thank you to you. So I'm going to be taking you through our 2020 Lumen Prize virtual exhibition space. And I would encourage you, if you want to go on and actually follow through the space with me, you can go into our virtual exhibition space. The link should be on our website. My username is Madeleine_Lumen Prize. But if you don't want to follow along with me in the actual exhibition space, I'm going to be sharing my screen with you and taking you through that way. So I'm going to go first to the lobby. And we are entering into the lobby now. So just to provide you a little bit of background on our exhibition, we just wrapped up our Lumen Prize 2020 and announced the winners, and also launched this virtual exhibition space presented with Leonardo, which is a forum for science, art, and technology. And what's pretty cool about this exhibition space is that we not only exhibit the artists in each artist pavilion, but each artist pavilion has accompanying Leonardo texts that are articles that come from their journals that they publish bi-monthly or monthly. So it creates a really interesting dialogue between what the artists are presenting, the themes in their work, and then also the dialogues that are present right now in the field of digital art and tech. So the creators of the space were DC Spenceley and Gustavo Rincon. And as you can see, it's definitely different than a traditional virtual white gallery space. They really wanted to create an entire virtual world and atmosphere, but also make it really easy for people to navigate. So I would definitely encourage you after this event to go back and take a look and just explore the space on your own. So for our first artist, we're going to go to Christian Leclair, who was the winner of the BCS AI Award for the 2020 Lumen Prize. So let me just navigate to him. All right, so as we get to his artist pavilion, to describe a little bit about Christian Leclair, he is a multimedia artist, and he also considers himself a choreographer. And his work that won for the Lumen Prize is entitled Helen. And we're going to go this way first. So what's really cool about this virtual space is that we actually have some 3D renderings of the works themselves. So this is a 3D rendering of his sculpture that was produced using AI. But I'm going to go over to the images here. So this is Helen. Helen was produced using a deep learning space and neural network. And it was trained on 120,000 different sculptural images from across time, from across different historical periods and across different cultures. So what Christian really wanted to do was to create a sculpture that essentially embodied our collective historical heritage, which is really, really interesting. And what's kind of amazing is that it produces a completely different sculptural rendering every 30 seconds. So this is just one example of a sculptural rendering, but it's constantly producing, the artificial intelligence is constantly producing new outputs from this data set, which I think is just fascinating. And he used the black marble, this really dark marble, to sort of personify this idea of lots and lots of data, of all the data that exists, all the information transferring through space and time. And what he really wanted to underscore was this tension between individual artistry and collective artistry, because this artificial intelligence is creating its own artistic rendering, but it's doing so off of the, the minds and the chisels of artists from centuries past and from different cultures across the world. So this tension between the individual artist and the collective artist. And then also he really wanted to underscore or sort of think about the theme of what is natural and what is constructed. So is this a natural production because it's the brain of the artificial intelligence creating something new, or is it a new kind of constructed information? So I'm just going to show you a little bit more around the space. This is an image of the AI cutting into the marble and starting to chisel. And as I turn around, again, here's the 3D rendering of the sculpture. And I just wanted to point out that if you put your pointer over specific artworks or over text, you'll see that a text box will pop up. So there's always more to see and to learn if you put your mouse over different areas of the exhibition. So with that, we're going to go into the other room in Christian Leclair's pavilion. And so in these left sides of the pavilion, you'll find accompanying Leonardo text that provides some really interesting dialogue with the art itself. So this Leonardo text that I just wanted to point out is about Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. It was a robot that was, it's an article about a robot bird that was trained to dance to Swan Lake. So again, it's this dialogue of historical heritage being combined with new technologies. So I would really encourage you, if you're interested, to take a look at the Leonardo articles. The link here will take you to the actual publication. So you can really do a deep dive into not only the artist, the Lumen Prize artist, but also the different dialogues around the work that the artist is doing. And this is a video that Christian Leclair created about the work itself and the creation of the work. This is showing the marble from which he created the sculpture. So I would also encourage you to come back and watch the video. There's lots of time to be spent in each space. So with that, we're going to go to the next artist. Unfortunately, we don't have time to see all of the artists. So I would really encourage you, again, to come back and really just explore the space on your own. So the next artist that we're going to is Hélène Legarnisson. And she considers herself an interaction and spatial designer. So as we walk towards the pavilion, her work that won is entitled Unbalanced, and it uses extended reality. So let's walk into the space here. So Ellen is really interested in, here, I'm gonna walk over here first. Ellen is really interested in the sensory world and thinking about how we engage with the sensory world and how we engage with our senses through technology. So what she really wanted to do was create extended reality that rather than taking us away from ourselves, which so much of VR does, you know, you put on a VR headset and you are sort of removed from yourself, removed from your own reality. But what she wanted to do was flip that on its head and create extended reality or virtual reality experience that would allow you to become more in touch with your own body and understand your own body in it from a different lens. So what's really cool about this virtual exhibition space is that you can actually go inside the exhibition. So I'm going to show you that we have a cube in the middle of the space. And if we enter the cube, we can actually, if we enter the cube, we can actually see it all around us, which I think is rather cool. It's all enveloping. So let me exit the cube and then just show you the video. So what she did is each performer who stood on a platform, the platform had beads inside of it. And as you would stand on the platform, you would have a VR headset and the platform would tilt. And as the platform tilted, beads underneath the platform would tilt with it. But you had a completely different experience in your VR headset. And there was also an auditory experience where you would hear the beads moving with you as you move. So she really, with the headset and with the tilting platform, wanted you to feel your body, feel the movement of your body in a different way, and also to sort of awaken the senses of balance and then also of hearing. And I think that this piece is absolutely fascinating because so much of virtual reality is really trying to get you away from your own body and reflecting on your own interaction with space. But what she's done is use virtual reality to actually allow you to tap more deeply into your own interaction with space and yourself. So that's really interesting work. And again, I would encourage you to hang out in the cube because it's really interesting and watch a little bit of the video. And I forgot to mention that when you are balancing on the platform, a virtual avatar is created of you that creates this really beautiful reflection of yourself moving around on the platform. So we'll just go to that image right now. So this is an image of movement. Essentially, it's capturing the movement with the avatar of the person moving on the platform, which I think is a really beautiful articulation of the experience itself in a still image. And you can see the avatar again over here. And this is just a little bit more about her creation of the experience. And so with that, we'll go into the other room. So again, there's a video that Ellen created about this work, which I would encourage you to check out. And then there's also, again, accompanying Leonardo texts that you can take a look at. They're about interactive art and performance art, and they provide a really interesting juxtaposition to unbalance the work that Ellen created. So moving on from Ellen, we're going to go to Tupac Martyr and Satori Studios, which is a work that is rather difficult to explain because there's a lot in it. So it's definitely a space to spend a lot of time in the exhibition itself. And just to mention, there's lots of ways to get to each artist and each pavilion. So I'm just using these lobby shapes, but you can also go down this way, and then you can also hit escape if you want to and just go directly to the space. But the creators really wanted to make it accessible for everyone, which I appreciate. So Tupac Martyr wears a lot of hats in this project with Satori Studio. He's the founder of Satori Studio. With this project, he was the director, and the work that won was for our Global South Award, and it's entitled The Cosmos Within Us. Whoops, it looks like it's loading a little slowly. So The Cosmos Within Us is a performance. So it's actually an in-person performance that uses a variety of technology and then also sensory art. So it uses a VR headset, and then it also uses sense, touch. Let me see if I can try and have it load faster. Here we go. Just trying to get it to load. There we go. Okay, so it's an immersive performance, which is why it's rather difficult to articulate because it uses a lot of different things. It uses VR headsets, other forms of technology, but then it also relies on sense, touch, and acting performance. So The Cosmos Within Us is about loss, and in particular, it follows the experience of Aiken, who is suffering from Alzheimer's. So the performance itself goes through Aiken's, essentially is an exploration into Aiken's memory. Excuse me, guys, sorry, my mouse is no longer working. So it's an exploration into Aiken's memory, but his memory itself is not reliable because he has Alzheimer's. And so as you're, I'm gonna need to escape so that I can fix my mouse once again. I apologize, let me reload.
I'll butt in and say something while you're fiddling with your mouse.
Yep,
Madeleine.
please do, please do.
Brian here. Just had a question which I've answered online, but I'll tell the audience while we have an opportunity. That is that this video that Madeleine's so kindly doing for us will be posted on the BCS YouTube channel in a week or two, so please look out for it there. But as we've seen, there's quite a lot more to see in this exhibition than just what we've seen on the video. So this will give us a snapshot, but visiting is worth it in its own right, isn't it, Madeleine? Are you okay now?
Yes, I'm great, thank you.
Lovely. I'll hand back to you.
Okay, thank you. So the performance itself, participants are essentially brought on a journey through Aiken's memory as he struggles through working with his Alzheimer's and trying to understand his own memories. And then one audience participant is actually selected to be a part of the performance, and he or she wears a VR headset the entire time and participates in this world of Aiken with the performers itself. It's a bit difficult to explain because it does have a lot involved. I, for one, when I was talking with Tupac about it, really wanted to be able to just experience it in person. But what's so great about the virtual exhibition is that it sort of allows you to experience the performance in a way that you might not be able to if we weren't in a 3D exhibition world. So you can actually enter into these little movie rooms and see parts of Aiken's story. So let me move out of this. If you go into these little movie rooms, there are snippets of Icon's story that you can essentially participate in. And I don't know if you can hear, but there's audio and video. And what I also particularly love about this space is that because the entire exhibition, because the entire performance is really about dealing with loss, the loss of memory, but also just loss in general, the emotions, the spectrum of emotions that human beings experience, in their lifetime. What's really, really cool about this room is that you can actually essentially sit in Icon's memories. So if you go into these balls here, you can actually enter the balls and sit inside of one of Icon's memories. So this is a memory of when he was younger and playing on the playground. And you can literally just sit in here and essentially experience the world from his eyes, which is a lot of what Tupac and Satori Studios were trying to do. So it's really cool that using this virtual exhibition space, we're able to try and accomplish a little bit of what they were doing in their performance. So I would encourage you to come back and hang out in these little balls, in these spaces, and also to read more about the Cosmos Within Us itself. There's actually a movie, a recorded movie that's out about it. So if you are interested, you can do that. We also have a live chat with Tupac about the Cosmos Within Us on March 4th on our Instagram channel, on our IGTV channel, if you're interested in checking that out. And then I will take us again to the Leonardo Pavilion. This is part of the movie clip, so it goes into the directing of the Cosmos Within Us, and really gives you a little bit more of a taste of what the experience was like. And again, there's Leonardo publications that provide more context into this idea of immersive virtual environments. So with that, we're going to go on to Julieta. So Julieta was our gold award winner. And what I absolutely love about her pavilion is that we have a 3D rendering in the virtual exhibition itself of her artwork, which is really quite cool. So Julieta, I love her description of herself as an artist. She describes herself as an artist in any three-dimensional form, whether that be installation, photogrammetry, which is what this project is, animation, anything that is 3D is how she describes herself as an artist. So this work is entitled Nuestra Victoria, and it's a complete rendering using the method of photogrammetry, which is this really painstaking recreation of something as accurately as possible. And so it is a recreation of the Angel of Independence in Mexico City after protests that erupted in 2019 over the violence and mistreatment of women in Mexico. And so she was really compelled to capture and create an archive of this protest because she saw that after the protest, as you can see, there's lots of graffiti on the Angel of Independence. So she was really compelled to capture it because after the protest, she saw that the monument was boarded up and the government of Mexico City was planning on cleaning everything off. And so just as monuments are sort of an archive of cultural heritage, she wanted to make sure that there was memory and an archive of not the monument itself, but what took place at the monument, which was this really important protest for women's rights in Mexico City. And what's sort of neat, just like Elin's space, you can go inside this cube and experience it in 3D. And I love that it spins, because you can see all of the different messaging that women wrote on the monument itself. But the coolest part of this all, if I can get to it, is the 3D replica of this project. If it can load. So this is a 3D replica of the Angel of Independence. And a really interesting fact about Julieta's experience doing this is that no one was actually allowed to look in the monument. The monument was completely boarded up after the protests in August of 2019. And women who really supported what she was doing, women in government, actually snuck her into the monument behind the boards of the monument so that she could document it, so she could take pictures of it, and so that she could create this piece. So what I love is that you can actually go inside and around the monument, essentially replicating the experience of Julieta, the artist, as she experienced, going under the boards and trying to document, this important moment in history for women and for Mexico City itself. Again, I think it's really cool in this virtual exhibition that we're able to do things that we might not be able to do if we were in a physical exhibition space, like being able to essentially recreate the experience of this artist in going underneath the boards and into the monument. And it also allows you to take a little bit of a closer look at the graffiti and the different messaging. We have an interview with Julieta up on our Instagram channel if any of you are interested in reading more, in listening to Julieta talk about it, and also hearing more about photogrammetry, because it's a rather new tech that's being used to really, in painstaking detail, recreate images. So with that, I will go back to the Lumen Prize lobby. And I thought I could open it up for questions to see if anyone had any questions about the artists that we visited or that we saw. If not, I'm also happy to take us to a few more artists. There are a few more artists that we weren't able to touch on, but I would encourage everyone to come back and do that. Here, let me.
So we've had
get back to the lobby.
We had a question, Madeleine, about entering. So I just sent a little link there as well, and also whether it's going to be polished. So we've dealt with that one. But if you can show us a couple more, I think that'd be good.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
And I forgot to mention, our call for entries just opened. So if there are any artists in the crowd, you should definitely consider submitting something. And you can find information about that on our website. So let's go to Lu Hua. She is our winner of the student prize. Come here. Great. So Lu Hua is currently a student in Boston, and she won our Photo Monitor Student Award for the 2020 Lumen Prize. And we will enter into this. The work that she won for is entitled Racing Thoughts, and I think it's a beautiful combination of tech and also her drawings. So these are, just wanted to take you to have a look at her drawings. And again, the work is called Racing Thoughts. So it's sort of about her subconscious, and it combines video with her own drawings. So I just thought I'd show you some of her drawings to start with. They're really beautiful. And then I will bring you into the video racing spot. So this is her work itself. I'll just bring you in and we can sit for a second and watch it. So as you can see, she essentially created this performance piece where she hooked her brain up to a wave scanner and monitored, this is a recording of her. She monitored her brain wave responses to different things that she was seeing as she was searching on the internet, which in and of itself is a fascinating art project, art piece. But then what she did was overlay drawings that were an articulation of her experience doing this, and then also the video recording of her going through these different web pages. And so you can, as you watch the video, you can essentially explore her own brain responses to what she's seeing, and go on a journey with her through these different experiences that she's having on the internet. And while she's doing that, she's questioning the existence of technology and how it impacts her brain, and how it impacts her experience. So that's really interesting. You should definitely go and just watch the full video. And I absolutely love that she combined a few different elements into that work. So she combined her own drawings, recordings of her searching, and then also the science of studying her own brainwaves. And again, this is the same video. So if you wanted to watch it in this form, rather than in the actual movie space, you're welcome to do that. And so let's head to the next artist. We'll go to Soren Krag, who is the winner of our Nordic Award, which is a new award that we just started in 2020 with the Soren Kunst Museum. So Soren Krag creates digital tapestries. So we'll go into his work. So his winning work was called 2000 Fleur. And so let's just go to the work that won. So he essentially creates a digital loom that, using technology, creates an actual physical tapestry. I'm not sure the pictures really do it justice, because I think actually visiting it in person would be unbelievable. But he was really inspired by old loom and tapestry creating techniques, but combining that with new digital technology. And this is a more detailed photograph of the threads that were used to create this. It's just amazing that a computer program, that technology is actually stitching this and creating this. And so here's another image of 2000 Fleur. But this is a digital image, whereas this is an image of the tapestry itself in an actual exhibition space. go over to this. This is showing the process of its creation. I also like the contrast that's sort of present, because Soren Krag was talking about how he was really inspired by ancient, or not ancient, but historical tapestry techniques, and that's sort of that contrast with the technologies that he's using to create that. So it's a really interesting technology, just like Christian Leclair, between using our historical heritage and historical modes of creation, like chiseling marble or creating tapestry, but creating new ways to express that with digital technologies. And again, here are some Leonardo articles that you can take a look at that provide a little more context and add to the dialogue that Soren is creating. And with that, I think we'll go back to the Lumen Prize lobby. And I can, Brian, what do you think? I can go to another artist, or we can take questions.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in. We haven't had any others in so far, Madeleine, but I think we've got a real good sense of what's going on there. We've got about 8 minutes to our normal closing time. We do 45 minutes, so perhaps we could look at one more artist. Would that be doable? Great.
Yeah, let's go to Richard Vigen. And again, there's so much to see in this space that it really just takes a lot of exploration. When I was listening to Gustavo Rincon and DC Spenceley, the creators of this 3D space, talk about it, they suggested that you just keep it open on your computer screen and just sort of sit in each space and hang out in the virtual exhibition space, sort of spend time with in each pavilion and with each work, which I thought was a great idea and something that you can't really do in a physical exhibition space. So the virtual exhibition space allows you to almost spend more time in each room and with each artist. So Richard Vigen won for Hertzian Landscapes. Let me just go. And so Hertzian Landscapes takes radio wave data. And the radio wave data actually reacts to your physical person being in front of the screen. So this is set up as an installation in an exhibition. And it actually reacts to your physically being in front of the screen, and the radio waves move as you get closer to it or move to different parts of it, move to different parts of the screen, which, as you can see, is happening here. So this man is in front of this space, which is why the radio waves are moving further apart, and there's more space right in front of him. So I think it's a very interesting way to use radio wave data, but it's also just sort of a mesmerizing piece just to look at and to be in front of. So you can sort of experience the same experience that you would if you were in the exhibition space itself by walking into this movie room and seeing the radio waves that he's pulling from across the world. Although, unlike actually being in a gallery or in front of the screen itself, the radio waves are not moving with your body. but it's just a really, really interesting way to use radio wave data. I would never actually understand the articulation of radio waves in this way, so it's really interesting and cool to see it being used as, you know, sort of a mode of artistic expression, even though all of these lines are just radio wave data, but it creates this really interesting pattern and texture. And what's also really cool is that it shows where these waves are coming from. So you're sort of existing with these communications that are happening across the world in real time. So you can see this says Vodafone, T-Mobile, KPN. So you're actually witnessing communications that are happening across the world in real time, and those communications are also reacting to you in front of the screen. So it's sort of a fascinating way to be a part of this collective information that's being passed around. And again, you can go into the left side of the pavilion to watch this. So this is one of Richard's other works. So you can learn more about his artistic practice in general by watching this video. And then there's also, again, 2 articles from Leonardo that you can click on, and it'll take you to the Leonardo website. I would definitely suggest going to the Leonardo website and looking into their publications because they're really, really interesting, and each one is on a different theme. Each journal is on a different theme that relates to science, art, and tech. So it's been really cool to partner with them to be able to provide even more context to what we're doing and to what each artist is doing in the art and tech space. And let's see if we have time for one more artist. Quickly, we can go to Liliana Farber. That way we will have seen all of the artists. So Liliana Farber's work is really interesting. It, at first glance, just looks like maps, but she's really interested in this idea of charting space and colonial legacy and the way that we interpret history, which seems to be a theme, this idea of interpreting history in the exhibition. So I'm just going to go into this space right here. So these, just by looking at them, seem to be islands that she's just taken pictures of. But what she's actually done is recreated phantom islands that existed in old historical narratives, in old colonial narratives, when there was still a lot of exploration of the world and still more to be found. There were islands that different explorers and different accounts said that they thought they had seen. And so she's recreating these islands as if they existed. Sorry, Brian, if we're running out of time, but she's recreating these islands as if they existed. So you see North Pole, unknown, unknown. And then creating the exact geolocation that they would have existed in, which I think is a really interesting way to contribute to the historical narrative because it sort of plays on the amount of information that we have and the lack of information that we have, and how our perception of the world and the way that we chart space changes over time. So we didn't have much time to go over her because I know it's 8:14. Sorry about that. But I would encourage you to read a little bit more about her. And with that, we can go back to the lobby. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if you're interested, you can email us at info@lumenprize.com. And again, if you're an artist, you should definitely consider submitting a call for entries. And I just wanted to say a big thank you again to the BCS Chartered Institute for IT for hosting this event, and again for being a sponsor of the Lumen Award. And I will go back to the lobby and leave it to you, Brian.
Thank you very much, Madeleine. That was really fascinating. Thank you so much. So actually, in the end, we saw a little bit of all the artists there, didn't we? In the is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
I'm glad we did. I'm glad we did.
We did get to see all the artists, which is great. Oh, excuse me, we missed Casey Riaz. So if you're interested in Casey Riaz, you should definitely go back. He uses AI and it's a video work. Okay,
there you go. So a little shout out there. But there's a lot more obviously in the exhibition than we saw today. So thank you so much for giving us that tour around. We're looking forward to the 2021 prize. As we've already said, that is already open. We've posted in the Q&A a link that you can apply via. Just a little word about the BCS prize. So as I mentioned, in the last 4 years, we've been doing an AI one. So many artists are using that now that we sort of moved on. We've evolved it a little bit. I'm just going to read it out. It's the BCS Immersive Environment Award. So that's looking at sensory experiences. Could even include smell, taste, sound, and touch. So I'm really interested and look forward to see what entries we get for that. And of course, as Lumen generally. So can I thank Madeleine once again for doing that. Thank you for your participation. Thank you also to Carla for arranging all this for us as all brains behind the throne, Carla. So I will bring this to a conclusion now, and it will be on YouTube shortly. Thank you very much, Madeleine.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you again to BCS. It was great.
Thank you very much.